Weatherbell Analytics meteorologist Joe Bastardi, your Saturday summary. Concern growing over the potential for very heavy rains across South Florida as we got a conglomeration of clouds in the Northwest Caribbean, Southeast Gulf of Mexico that may try to feed back and get better organized on its way northward, especially Monday and Tuesday across Florida. And so you folks in Florida should keep an eye on that. Don't want anything sneaking up on people. And people, oh, where did this come from? It's global warming. Look at that. It came out of nowhere. Julian oscillation has been very important. It's been tending to stay in these phases over the last couple of months. I'm going to explain why in just a moment. You see it in phase 5 here. It runs very quickly through 6, spends 1 or 2 days in 6, a couple days in 7, and then gets back in to this where it's been spending a heck of a lot of time over the last couple of months. And this is very, very important because when this gains amplitude, the weather does respond. Now, you take tropical cyclones, for instance, there's a correlation in phase 2 and 3. You see a strong correlation toward impact. Now, we're not in 2 and 3 now. You can see in 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, it's generally pretty much down in these areas over here. So I would not expect, as long as this feature, over the next few days, we're coming through this phase of the Julian oscillation. It won't be something that just feeds back and turns into a monster hurricane or something like that. But it may have some impact. Now, you notice once you get into phase 8 and 1, and then back to 2 and 3 here, those are the active phases. And you may have noticed NOAA came out with their hurricane forecast, and it mimicked almost. I mean, I'm not saying that they copied us or anything like that, but they had 13 to 19. We had 14 to 20, for instance. And we have the impact scale on it also. And ours came out March 10th, all right? Now, why did I put that out with an active season way back then is because we anticipated a change in what the Julian oscillation would do for the hurricane season. I think it's going to spend a lot of time in these high impact phases for the United States. And that's because of the changes that are taking place in the sea surface temperatures, especially in the Indo-Pacific basin. All right, and we'll look at that in just a moment. Now, it makes a huge difference if you're going to flirt around with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in wintertime. Guess what's going to happen? It's going to be warm, and that's what happened. All right. But in the summertime, those same phases give us a bit different. Now you can see here's 1, and the 8 to 15 day forecast temperatures look a little bit like this as we're going into 1. There's 2, but you can see 3 is quite cool. And this is what I keep trying to tell people, that these cool air masses that come in to the United States in the summer actually, have correlation. Because if it's real cool, if it's cool over land and pressures are higher over land, they tend to be lower over the warmer water. And so you get increased tropical cyclone activity along with the cool outbreaks, or at least impact into the United States coastline. Now, here we go. The Japanese model is really showing and backing up what the Europeans say. This is the upward motion pattern this week. Notice in the wake of the cyclone, which, by the way, weakened quite a bit as it went into Bangladesh, I believe it was. You take a look at this, and you see that sinking over the Indian Ocean, and also we have sinking occurring in the tropical areas. Now, there's a small area that a little bit of upward motion there. So, but we get to next weekend and the week beyond. There's the reversal in the Indian Ocean. Look what goes on here. And so, if this thing next week doesn't pan out for Florida, we have to really keep an eye on what goes on June 1 through 15 in the Western Caribbean, because week 3 and 4 look the same way. All right. Now you say, okay, well, you're showing me this stuff. How do you know that those are those phases that you're talking about? Well, let's take a look at this. This is a Julian oscillation phase 2, and there's in phase 3, and there's the upward motion coming across the Indian Ocean, the sinking over here. You can see the positives back toward the Atlantic basin here. So basically, the Japanese model is trying to back up what the European is saying. Now, why did this happen? Why did we see the shift? Well, because this water has cooled here. And when this water is very, very warm, it literally attracts the phase 4, 5, and 6 of the Mann-Julian oscillation. Why? Because that's where the most upward motion is going to be. And if you have phases 4, 5, and 6 of the Mann-Julian oscillation during the winter season, you get a lot of warmth. Notice how much the sea surface temperatures have cooled. They're still above normal. Look at this. It's really cooled the anomalies off the U.S. East Coast here. Now keep in mind, though, that that has little to do with, the configuration, cooler here, warmer down to the south, is actually a positive correlation. But if you look at the 2005 hurricane season at this time, which was a mega season, the water was very chilly off the eastern seaboard. But the point is, we're seeing widespread cooling of sea surface temperatures going on over the last 5, 6 months. And when you cool this area here, you force it, see the positives over here, see the water temperature increasing here. You favor the MJO being stronger here, which is 2 and 3, than over here, which is 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that has been quite a change, and we've seen that with the temperatures. If we look at the last 7 months from November 1st, this is what it looks like across the United States, right? November was very chilly. Then we got into the period from December right through March, where the Mann-Julian oscillation was rotating strongly through those phases. What I thought was that it was going to shift quicker than what it did, and we'd get a big rally at the end of winter. It was delayed. I mean, April and May have been horrible. We knew the spring would be late. We knew that. I mean, that's just what's been happening over the past several years: late winters, late springs. But in any case, you see how warm it was, and look at this reversal since April 1st, right? All right, let's go to the more mundane things, just the European from 0Z last night. I'm getting this out early today because I'm golfing, all right? I'm going to take some time off, not worry about the world, and only, which aggravates me. A bunch of things aggravate me. So I've decided I'm going to change what I get aggravated about. Instead of the weather or climate or whatever, okay? I'm going to get aggravated about my golf game, which is... Okay, so we get out to day 3. And here's this trough going down, and that means Texas is going to be very wet, and then we have some mischief on the east side. We're out at day 6, and you can see what we look like. This could actually be a subtropical development out there north of Puerto Rico. It won't affect anybody. It'll just go out. And then we're going to get a big cool high come charging into the Great Lakes in the northeast for a while. And the big question is, I look at this, and this is loading up for bear. When you see positives over negatives or neutral like that, you got to watch for the Gulf of Mexico. Question is, how cool is this air mass over the northeast part of the United States, and does it stick its nose back further west because of the Mann-Julian oscillation? So, phase 3 is quite cool. This may come roaring right into we might wind up with a trough by the middle of June in the center of the country if that phase 3 pans out like that. So we'll see. Here we are, day 1 through 8. You see Texas with all the rain, South Florida. You don't have to worry about it being excessively hot. If you want to go to the beach, you are allowed to surf, but not go in the water, as I understand it. The water's cold, okay? And if you're surfing, you probably get a wetsuit on anyway. There's the big positives over the northeast, and there's California frying again. And there we are. And again, that phase 1 of the MJO favors it sort of trying to be mild, warm in there. But here we are with week 2. Look at this, a deluge in Texas and in Florida over here. And this is the mischief that we're going to have to worry about. And the merry month of May, by the way, is 3rd warmest on record. Now, I know it's been cool over the United States, but you got to think globally. And so it comes out as 3rd warmest on the CFSR record right now, okay, since 1981. However, this, I've been watching these people trying to claim that the rise of CO2 has been thwarted by the shutdown, economic shutdown, and that's just not true. You could see this is last year, and you can see how erratic it gets in here. Look at that peak up in there, and it goes up and down. You see it go up and down. Now, Tom Downs, who is one of my colleagues, and I said, what causes this here where it flattens out? And Tom opined, and I think he may be right, is that that's when the Arctic sea ice is reaching its maximum level. And that fills in with this whole idea I have that the oceans outsource CO2. Okay, so if you have the Arctic Ocean closed, it may level it off for a little while, but then it resumes. It goes right back up, and you can see the peaks, the peak from the year before to here to up here is equal. I mean, yeah, I guess you could. Oh, look at this! It became erratic or something like that. But I mean, I'm looking at this, going, how are people just getting on TV and say, "See that? It's stopping CO2." It's not stopping CO2. We get the same kind of increase. Now, here is something interesting, and this is one of the reasons why I think we should go on a global tree planting initiative. I make no secret about that. People laugh at it. Well, why would you laugh at it? I mean, that makes me the environmentalist over here. When the Northern Hemisphere gets green, CO2 drops. And supposedly, that if you plant enough trees globally the size of Canada, it would make up for the rises that we see occurring, no matter what the source is. Yeah, I think the source is the warm oceans. They're outsourcing CO2, and they're trying to establish an equilibrium based on the warming of the oceans. I've talked about this before. I'm not saying that, that's got to be it, but I'm saying that this particular situation, which has been so horrible globally for people. I mean, people's lives are, I'm aware of what's going on. People's lives are being destroyed. But it's opened a window for at least skepticism as far as, what's driving the CO2. And when we look at these curves, we know, well, what if we could get enough green to get this down here, right? Just something to think about. Costs a lot less money. And plus, I'm a tree hugger. That's the thing that drives me nuts. Oh, you're a climate science denier, and you deny this and deny that, and you're anti-environment. I come from the exact opposite background, all right? All right, that's enough. Anyway, the Keeling curve, all right? Google it, and it's Scripps puts it out, I believe. It's a great site. It's one of my favorite sites, all right? That's it for now. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.